doing in regards to the soap version of cleaning my septum piercing. Now there is, after you get your septum done, in the beginning there is a saltwater soak portion of the cleaning of your septum, and there is a soap washing version of cleaning your septum, and this version is going to be the soap version. Now hopefully if you're watching this, you already know about the saltwater soaks, and that's to promote healing for the piercing. It feels really, really good. It's very, very soothing, and I don't really want to get into it too much, but I mention it because it's probably a good idea to do the soak first before you do this wash. So I'm going to try to do it in my bathroom. Again, like the other video, the lighting isn't very good in this room, so forgive me if, the lighting's not perfect. So what you're going to need is, or what I've been using is, Q-tips. Clean. Hopefully you have Q-tips in a container that's covered and isn't gathering dust of any kind, because you do have an open wound and you don't really want to be rubbing dust against your new piercing. Also, a clean washed towel or rag that isn't used for anything previous or after this washing. This is designated just for this wash. Don't use the bath towel that you use after you get out of a shower. Don't use one that someone has already used. Don't use one that has been hanging on a towel rack and hasn't been used yet, because it's, could have been touched by someone in the bathroom. Basically, use one that has been freshly washed. If you don't have these kind of little towels, use Kleenex. Kleenex that hasn't been touched previous to this washing. Now, what I also use is this Dr. Bronners Magical Soap. Now, I have seen a lot of people with their septum piercings use antibacterial soap, and antibacterial soap, in my opinion, shouldn't be really used unless it's absolutely necessary. Using that kind of thing, it makes your body weak. It makes it very susceptible actually to germs, and I would really not use that in regards to a piercing. Better to use a organic, all-natural soap without any perfumes or dyes or weird things that you can't pronounce. Some very clean, pure soap. Now, when I bought this, I actually thought it was the super pure without anything else in it. But it lands up, I got the one with hemp and peppermint. Now, that could be confusing in regards to what I just said. But these ingredients are all natural, all organic, and what I was speaking about is soaps that have dyes and perfumes, have ingredients that you can't pronounce, or colors like red 5, red 3, stuff like that. You don't want to use that. This I can pronounce. It has water, coconut oil, organic olive oil. It has mint, hemp oil, jojoba oil, organic peppermint oil. Now, I should give a warning that people could be very, very sensitive to the peppermint feel of this, and I do believe there is a Bronners soap that doesn't have peppermint in it. It's just pure Castile soap, and that would work really, really good. I actually really enjoy the peppermint in this. It was, like I said, bought by accident, but it has worked really well for me, and as I show you in this video, there's such a small amount that I use when I'm washing this piercing that it doesn't actually affect me in a negative way, the peppermint in this. I could see to some people who have, after they're getting their septum pierced, that it became very inflamed and infected immediately after piercing. This might be a little bit too harsh in the beginning until you start getting your piercing in a positive, healthy mode. My piercing, fortunately, was painless and actually did not become infected during any time in the last 11 days. I should make it known, though, that it's very, very important not to touch your piercing. Do not touch it unless you're cleaning it, or unless it's absolutely necessary that you have to blow your nose or you have to get things out of your nose. Other than that, steer clear of touching it at all. So what you do is you have your, Q-tips ready. You have what you're going to dry off your face with, and you have your soap. Now, I use cool water. I don't use warm water. I don't use hot water. I use cool water. Now, I wanted to show you, in regards to using this soap, you need a very, very small amount, and I'm not really sure how I'm going to get it on film, what a small amount is actually used, but I'm going to try. Okay, so what I do first is turn on the cool water. I rinse my hand, or hands, meaning I place them under the water and just get them wet. Now, this, I'm going to put one small dot of soap, and I'm going to show you how much that lathers. Now, I don't know if you could actually see. Look at that. Now my hands are already clean, but I've been touching my computer and stuff, so I'm just gonna go ahead and wash them again. So that very small, tiny, it's actually smaller than a dime. It's probably like the tip of a pencil that you pour out to get that kind of lathering. And that's all I've needed to wash it. Now, rinse your hands off. Put the same amount of soap on again. And again, turn the water off. Super, super lather, okay? Now, I suggest not getting a septum piercing if you're at all weirded out about touching your nose, putting your fingers in your nose, or anything like that. This isn't the piercing for you, because in order to get it healthy, you're gonna have to touch it to clean it, and so you can't be freaked out about stuff like that. So here we go. So I go in by massaging. I know this looks really random. And what I actually did is I'm turning the jewelry gently. Now mine is really easy to turn, so I don't have any problems. And I actually use a different finger each time, because there's clean soap on it, to move the jewelry from different parts of my nose. Then what I do is I let it, stay on my nose, in my nose, on my piercing, while I'm rinsing my hands off with the soap. Now I rinse. Sticking my finger in my nose with cool water, turning the jewelry around gently, and rinsing the soap off the jewelry, off the piercing. I don't know how well you saw that, but what I'm going to do again is I'm going to do it one more time. I'm going to wash my hands because I was touching it, and any kind of germs that were on it, I want to get off my fingers before I wash it again. Rinse that off. Rinse the soap off. Now again, a small bit goes a really long way. That bottle should last you a super long time. Okay, again, really lathered up fingers. And the peppermint to me feels super tingly and lovely and soothing to me. Now make sure you're moving your jewelry around gently to clean it off, you know? Okay. Again, rinse off your hands. At this end part, I actually sniff in a little bit of water. Not so much that you're choking, but just a bit so that it is hitting the piercing and rinsing it off and just letting it stream out of your nose, okay? You're not like super sucking. And again, wash my hands. Get off all that extra yucky. There is a lot of washing. There is a lot of washing in this. Okay. Rinsing. Again. Make sure I'm moving the jewelry side to side and rinsing it off really good. Gently, gently. Okay. One more wash. Your hands are nice and clean. Now, designated towel. Gently, gently. No rubbing, just gently pushing up against the, wetness on your face. Okay, now remember, you're only going to use this towel this one time. You're trying to keep this area as clean as you possibly can. There's going to either be a lot of washing of towels or there's going to be a lot of tissue used in this. Okay. So next what I do is I stick a Q-tip in my nose. This could be kind of gross. To dry off the area. Switch sides. Just gently making sure, it's dry. Again, this definitely isn't the piercing for you if you're freaked out about touching your nose. And don't use the same Q-tip per nostril. Change Q-tips. Use one side, use the other side. For the next nostril, get a fresh one. The same thing. One side, the other side, and start fresh, okay? Now, I've realized that these Q-tips have been awesome in the beginning of my septum journey. Is that my nose is very sensitive. It wasn't in pain, but it was sensitive. And instead of actually blowing, I'd use these Q-tips and I'd just stick it in my nose to kind of absorb the drainage that I was getting. And it worked really, really well. And that is my video on how I wash my septum piercing with soap.